Get the most out of your time at work with Karen Gately. Leadership and People Management Specialist.
Last Friday was the National Day of Action Against Bullying and Violence. And Karen, we are going to be chatting about workplace bullying this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
What are some of the signs of being bullied at work?
Oh, shut up, Crystal.
Yeah, there's one.
That might be a good clue.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, it's behaviour that's making you feel, intimidated, humiliated, anything that's causing you distress.
Yeah.
The law sees bullying as something that is targeted, repeated behaviour.
Yeah.
So a once-off incident may not be classified bullying, whilst it might still be seen as highly inappropriate and hurtful. Bullying is when there's an ongoing pattern of behaviour that really does undermine your sense of feeling safe and respected and, okay at work.
Just jotting this down for future reference, Karen.
do you think a lot of the bullying instances in Australia are actually pointed incidents, or are they misinterpretations?
Look, I think, I've certainly written articles about this before around unconscious bullying, where, a lot of leaders unfortunately think to be the boss, they need to be bossy.
Yeah.
And they'll behave in ways that, they may not appreciate the extent to which someone does actually feel really confronted or intimidated or, again, humiliated, as I said earlier. So the classic might be the boss who is constantly tolerating things that they're not happy with and then one day just completely loses their mind at somebody because their frustration levels have got to a place where they just can't contain it anymore.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, if they have that moment, where they project their frustration at the individual, they choose to do it in front of the rest of the team, that is firmly in that space of behaviour that any reasonable person would see as intimidating.
Yeah.
So, again, whilst that manager might be quite taken aback to be accused of bullying, which I often see being the case, they've got to take accountability for the fact that whilst they had no ill intention, that emotional outburst still impacted someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Brain snap. What if you do know that someone you work with is being bullied? What if you witness it for yourself? Should you come forward?
Yeah.
What if the person is a person in authority that is doing the bullying?
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, look, and that is clearly always challenging, because it would be naive to say that it's easy to confront someone in power when they're behaving badly.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely the case that, I think we all have a responsibility to look out for one another and to certainly look out for ourselves. And if we do believe that we're being treated in ways that are unlawful and unfair, then finding the courage to say, look, that actually makes me feel the way it does. So whether, again, that makes me feel embarrassed or humiliated, whatever it might be, and having the courage to ask someone to, stop behaving in those ways is important. Now, again, sometimes that might mean getting help from someone that can guide you in that conversation, find you to have the courage, etc. And the same is true if we're witnessing bullying in the workplace, to the extent to which we're able to step in the moment and say, look, I'm very uncomfortable with your behaviour right now. I don't think that's appropriate to be treating this person in this way. If you can have that conversation, fantastic. If you can't, at the very least, follow up with that person, ask them if they're okay, ask them if they need support, and encourage them to go and get advice if they feel that they need it. What we can't do, I think, as a community is just to ignore these abusive behaviours.
Oh, for sure.
And, suffer the mental health and, very real, negative impacts on the quality of people's lives as a consequence.
What would you say to someone who, goes in and says, well, I'm just working in a tough industry, you just have to bite your lip and keep going forward, and is copying it but just feels like they have to maintain?
I think there is something that's healthy for us is to recognise the reality of circumstances we're in. So to go into some circumstances and be naive to what's likely in that environment is not helpful to us. But that is a very different thing to just blindly accepting that that's just the way things are.
Yeah.
So, if we reflect, for example, on all the inappropriate conduct in the entertainment industry and how for many, many years, women and men believed that sexual inappropriate behaviour was just part of what you had to do to get ahead.
Yes.
Is to tolerate that behaviour. Well, obviously history is proving that that's not the case.
That's a great example.
Yeah. So again, I think there are absolutely industries that have a reputation, that have allowed themselves to be very slack, if you like, around respectful conduct. The human beings are human beings. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Everyone deserves that baseline of respect and decency.
Absolutely.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Definitely. Karen, thank you so much for those words of wisdom this morning. We will catch up with you again when we chat International Day of Happiness. Are you happy with your job? Oh, that's a good question.
Well, the sun will be shining when we catch up with you again next Monday. Thanks so much, Karen.
Thank you.